Now then, YouTube, these drugs are keeping me alive, but the side effects are desperate, especially if you're an active person. So although they are keeping me alive, is life worth living when you're taking horrible hormones? I'm Simon, and I'm coming back from chemotherapy for prostate cancer. I've been used up and worn out by the treatment, but I'm battling to regain enough fitness to resume my active life. Well, let's answer that big baity question right up at the top. Of course, life is worth living, even taking these. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. But these babies wreak absolute havoc on you. These and drugs like them are called androgen deprivation therapy. They're very successful at keeping prostate cancer at bay because they reduce or even eliminate completely your testosterone, and the cancer needs the testosterone to grow. No testosterone and the tumours cannot thrive. So the clinical reasons are excellent, but having no testosterone, if you want to be fit and active, well, it's killer, absolute killer. Here's my fitness and cycling coach, Stuart.
How are you with basket cases?
I've got plenty of basket cases already trained, so I should be fine.
Why is no or low testosterone, I'm shortening this to low T from now on, such a big deal? Well, it's what gives you vitality, zip, get up and go, out of bed and raring to go. Some of that's down to testosterone.
Lack of testosterone is difficult because it's going to be really hard for me to know exactly where to push you, when to push you.
Low T causes a muscle wastage and strength loss. Not great if you want to use your leg and other muscles to move a bicycle, uphill or otherwise. Low T causes weight gain. I can vouch for that. Making it harder to be active and making you feel negative about yourself. Low T can cause insomnia. Again, hello, I see you, low T. And not being well rested, again, is a motivation killer. Low T weakens your bones, is in itself a cause of fatigue, and it also causes mood swings. Quite the list, eh?
It will be a void of discovery for me as well because I've never worked with anybody who's got so little testosterone.
But there is light at the end of the low T tunnel. Exercise and some supplementation with things like calcium can counter or lessen some of those effects, which is why I'm intending to power through low T via the magic of exercise. Well, you coached me before, Stu, and you know that I tend to be a bit gung-ho, and one of the reasons I have a coach is I sometimes need holding back. I mean, I do appreciate this time pacing is just going to be unbelievably important.
You're starting basically from scratch. All the fitness you built up before is gone. It's a sad, horrible thing to say, but it's true. You will still have sort of a muscle memory about turning pedals, but you won't have any fitness. You'll feel weak as a kitten, and those first 2 sessions will be awful.
Food for thought. And there's no better food than cheese. So it was a fondue lunch for me, bizarrely with Yorkshire pudding. A weird mashup, but it worked.
More cheese from it.
As I celebrated the first meal out in ages. Chemo, amongst other things, kills your immune system. So I've had to avoid crowded indoor spaces the past few months for fear of infection. No longer. Another small step
Cheesy.
in my post-chemo life. Okay, time for a step count update. Now, gosh, it's awful today. Grey, cold, wet. But you know, it's Yorkshire in February. Gently waving palm fronds in a warm breeze and lunch on the terrace. Well, you're in the wrong part of the Northern Hemisphere for that, mate. This is Yorkshire in February. Anyway, we're not here for a weather report, we're here for a step count update. So you will remember that my nadir, my all-time low, was 3,700 at the end of chemo. And once chemo was finished, I wanted to up that, obviously. My first target was to up it by 10%, which would have taken me up to about 4,000. And at the end of that week, well, goodness me, I did do well. I got up to 6,000 steps. So emboldened, I decided to add 10% to that figure for the end of week 2. And guess what? I made that too. I ended up at 6,800 steps at the end of week 2. So progress has been made. On some of the days, I was pretty tired and the end of the walks were something of a slog. But you know, this is progress. You can't expect massive progress. You can expect steady progress. And that's what I was getting. So the target for week 3 is another 10% on top of 6,800, which will take me to somewhere above 7,500 steps. I mean, this is, this is small beer stuff, but my starting point was low. So I've got to keep my targets within reasonable expectations. And I think adding 10% a week to that, yeah, it's not a bad place to start. So we're making progress. And if I'm going to continue to make progress, then I've just got to listen to what Coach Stu tells me, especially the thing about the importance of rest. Something I've never been very good at, rest.
It's a truism, but you make most of your gains, or you consolidate most of your gains when you rest. From your situation, I think it's critically important. So it's important for anybody who wants to make progress to make sure they rest when they should. They don't push too hard when they shouldn't. But for you, it's critically important because if you don't, not only are you not going to make progress, but you're going to see setbacks. So it'll be sort of a case of 2 steps forwards, 3 steps back. So yeah, I think I earned my coin even more than I did before in trying to stop you doing what you were doing.
Like, subscribe, comment. Now this might be a good time to let you know what the motivation for this battle is and where it comes from. Quite simple, really. I love riding a bike. I'm never happier than when I'm in the saddle. It's all that stuff cyclists always witter on about. Freedom, locomotion, the natural high you get from exercise. Achievement, getting to the top of a mountain. The exhilaration of a fast descent. I say this an awful lot. You never feel worse after a bike ride. It's therapy. It's soul food. It just makes you feel good. The companionship of riding with mates and having shared experiences. For years, I trained for a big summer trip with a regular bunch of cycling pals. We conquered cols and passes across Europe. The Alps, the Pyrenees, the Dolomites. And we had a fantastic time doing it. I've been lucky enough to ride a bike all over the world, and I was lucky enough to spend the last part of my career working in cycling, hosting and producing a podcast for the indoor cycling company Zwift. So cycling means an awful lot to me. It's a massive part of my life, and when I don't do it, I really, really, really miss it. So that's my motivation for trying to get fit again, to enjoy cycling. Okay, YouTube, that's nearly it for this one. I've just brought you out on my daily walk, which feels like a real trudge today. It is so bleak today. Cold, grey, relentlessly grey. One of those days where it just never seems to get properly light. But you're not here to hear me whinge about the British winter, much though there is to whinge about. Thanks very much for watching this episode. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you can join me for the next one where I am going to announce my secret weapon in the battle to get fit again. Thanks for watching, YouTube. See you next time.